Okay, so last session we have seen ratio of tensions for a flight belt drive. There is one more type of belt as you have seen earlier, that is a V belt or even a rope. So in the case of rope drive or V belt drive, the type of pulley is different. The pulley is of V shape. The belt comes in contact with the pulley from the sides. Compared to the earlier example, so as I draw here, the flat belt what we have drawn, that was like this, and this was the pulley, and we have found out the expression in the case of flat belt drive, T1 upon T2 is equal to e raised to mu theta. Now what we have to find out is what happens when the belt is of V shape and it is sitting in a pulley whose shape is like this. So now the belt is here and the pulley is here, and the type of contact, you will notice the difference. Here the contact surface was at this place. Here the contact surface is on the sides. So the friction is taking place here. As you know, belt drive is working on friction. So what happens, how much friction at this place is important. In this case, how much friction here is important. So when the drive takes place, here in this case, when the belt moves, it is taking the pulley along with it because of the friction over here. In this case, when the belt moves, it is taking the pulley along with it because of the friction which is present at these two places. So let us try to find out ratio of tensions for V belt drive or even for ropes. Rope drive and V belt drive, they are working on similar principle because both of them have what? The contact surface on the sides. Contact surface is on sides. So under this condition, how do we work? So let us draw a figure something similar to last time, but some difference. So this is the pulley. Then let us draw the belt. So we are taking a small portion just like last time, but then here the belt is a V belt, so some difference will be there. So let us see what is the difference. So I'll draw the figure first. T1 and T2 is here. The direction of rotation is like this. And when we draw the side view, we already have side view here of this. So here the normal reaction is like this, Rn. See, last time the normal reaction was like this. Now the normal reaction is here. So the frictional force in last time it was like this. Now the frictional force in this case is like this. So when we write the equation here, what we have to write is, I'll write like this. First of all, this small segment, then the forces, this is T, then the angle is delta theta by 2. So as a result, what we will now write is, where is the frictional force? See, last time there was a frictional force, we have shown like this, which was mu into Rn. because this was Rn, this was mu into Rn. Now here what is going to happen is the Rn is like this. So the mu into Rn will be like this and like this. So you can say mu Rn here and mu Rn here. So there is going to be 2 mu Rn. 2 mu Rn. So the frictional force is now going to be double. One because of this force like this. This is second. See, last time it was only 1 mu Rn. This is mu Rn in the last example. Now for V belt, mu Rn here and mu Rn here. So 2 mu Rn like this. So under such condition, now we will write the equation of equilibrium. So if I draw a line diagram, then this is 2 times mu Rn, then this is T cos delta theta by 2, and on this side it is T plus delta T cos of delta theta by 2. So when we solve this further, it will give us like last time cos theta goes. So it is T plus mu Rn is equal to, on this side it is T plus delta T into mu Rn. So here the T and T goes, and then we are left with, in fact this is 2 mu Rn. So you write here T plus delta T. So T and T goes, so delta T is 2 times mu Rn. So this is one equation we got, delta T is 2 times mu Rn. Now the next thing is, I'll write here. Next thing is, we will take the components along the vertical direction. So this was what component we had taken was cos component, and for this force if you take a component along this, then it is a sine component. So sine component of this force, sine component of this force. So these two are sine components, and they are resisted by this vertical force of this, vertical component of this. So what will be vertical component of this, that we are going to write down. Before that, the vertical down force. So taking forces along vertical direction, so I'll write here T plus delta T is sine delta theta by 2 plus T sine delta theta by 2 on this side is equal to, now here this is Rn, and then the angle here is shown as 2 beta. The angle V groove angle which is there, that is shown by 2 beta. So half of that is going to be beta. So that angle is here, beta. So this becomes Rn sin beta, Rn sin beta. So I'll write here 2 Rn sin beta. It comes as so the vertical component is, this is Rn sin beta, this is Rn sin beta. So these 2 Rn sin betas in the upward direction, they are opposing the sine components of the belt tension. So I'll write here now 2 times Rn sin beta. Now let us see what happens when you simplify. This is on left side equal to right side. Now sine of delta, I'll write here sine of delta theta by 2 is equal to delta theta by 2 itself. When it is in radians, this value comes as the numerical value of this angle itself. So when you replace sine delta theta by 2 by this, then let us see what happens. Now these both figures are very small, so the multiplication of these two is negligible, only this will remain. So I write here T into delta theta by 2, because this is gone, plus now this is T again delta theta by 2 is equal to, now on the right side, 2 Rn sin beta. So when you add this, it becomes T delta theta is equal to 2 Rn sin beta. Now Rn we already know here from this Rn is delta T upon 2 mu. Delta T upon 2 mu. So I'll write here delta T upon 2 mu. So is equal to 2 delta T upon 2 mu sin beta. So 2 and 2 goes. So I'll write this further over here. So this when you continue, it becomes T delta theta. T delta theta is equal to delta T sin delta T upon mu sin beta. So now we'll take T terms on one side and other terms on the other side. So this becomes delta T upon T, and on this side it is mu sin beta delta theta. Mu sin beta delta theta. So after this, when you integrate, I am putting the integration sign here, and the limits are from 0 to theta, T2 to T1. So when you do that, this becomes mu theta sin beta, and here it becomes log of T1 upon T2. Therefore, T1 upon T2 is equal to e raised to mu theta upon sin beta. This T is actually, it is mu sin, this sin is like this. Mu delta theta upon sin beta, so upon it is. So this becomes the required derivation. So for this case, it comes as T1 upon T2 is equal to e raised to mu theta upon sin beta. So that is the final derivation. For the V-belt drive, by all this what we get is ratio of tensions is e raised to mu theta upon sin beta, and this is very interesting. Suppose now see the angle, which is the angle beta? See, this is 2 beta. So we are taking half of that. So so this angle is 2 beta, and in the formula it comes as like this. So suppose I try to find out what happens if this 2 beta angle is 180 degrees. This 2 beta angle, if you make it like this, 180 degrees. So when you take 2 beta 180 degrees means beta is 90 degrees. So when you write here beta is 90 degrees, sine of 90 degrees is 1. So it becomes T1 upon T2 is sine e raised to mu theta. So if you remember, earlier derivation was e raised to mu theta. Now can you see that this angle 2 beta, when this 2 beta is equal to 180 degree, it becomes this case. Because when you angle make it 2 beta means like flat. So that is a flat belt. So this belt is a special case of V belt. So you can say that flat belt is a special case of V belt where angle 2 beta is 180 degrees. So that is how you are getting the relationship between both the equations, saying that they are correct. Okay. So for the earlier case, this was the derivation, and for, see, this is one derivation and this is the second derivation. So ratio of tensions for two cases. For flat belt, this is the derivation. For V belt, this is the derivation, where the angle 2 beta is brought into picture in the equation at this place, and otherwise it is mu and theta, where mu is coefficient of friction and theta is the angle of cover, angle of lap. How much is the belt in contact with pulley, that is shown by angle theta. So these two derivations are extremely important derivations for two cases which we have studied here just now. Okay. You can write down here. Now the next topic is initial tension in the belt. What is meant by initial tension in the belt? Let us see this topic what it is. See, earlier we have seen that there is a belt drive, then we start like this, then this is a driver suppose, then this side is T1, one side there is slack side, one side there is a tight side T1 and T2, and then T1 is greater than T2. This much we have seen. But what happens when the rotation doesn't start? That means at the start, suppose the drive is stationary, that means you are not started. It is in stationary condition. In the stationary condition, is there any tight side or slack side? What sides we say tight and slack, are they existing when the belt is not moving or when the pulley is not rotating? That is the question that is going to tell us something about the initial tension. So imagine that there is a belt drive which is stopped, which is not yet started. When you start, then it starts rotating. One side develops tight side, which is tension T1, other side develops slack side, and tension has got T2 there. But before that, the tension in the belt is said to be initial tension, and that is shown by letter T0, and that is same on both sides. So initial tension is T0 on both sides, and that is a tension which exists at the start before you rotate. Now you will wonder, how come there is a tension here? You might say that there is no tension at the start. See, T0 doesn't mean 0, it's just a notation. This is the initial tension. So this initial tension is existing there. I will in fact write, Ti, I will make it Ti. I for initial tension, which is existing at the start. And how much it is, that we have to find out. First of all, why it is there? Somebody will say that there is no tension in the belt at the start, but it is not so. See, when you have to put the belt, you have to slightly stretch it and then you put it. Suppose, see the belt when it is lying on the table, just a belt is lying on the table, there is no pulley. That time there is no tension. But when you take that belt and put it on the pulley, that time you have to slightly stretch it and then it fits on the pulley. If you put it on the pulley without any stretching, as what it was present on the table, in the same condition if you put it here, then what will happen? It will not work. Even if the pulley starts rotating, it will not carry the belt along with it, because the friction is not developed, because the length of the belt or the belt in that condition is as it is. So it needs to be slightly stretched. Once it is slightly stretched, then it produces the necessary friction. So that is what is called the initial tension, which is present in the belt, and that is equal on both sides. Once you start, then the initial tension changes. One side becomes tight and one side becomes slack side. So it is written like this: initial tension Ti is given by average of the two tensions. Initial tension is average of the two tensions. What is going to come once you start. Before that, the tension is a ratio of this. So only this much information you are supposed to know as far as the initial tension is concerned. The units are newtons as usual. And it is same on both sides before the rotation. I'll just show here rotation, but it is not there. So it has not yet started, it is stationary. So under stationary condition, the tension in both sides is initial tension given by average of T1 and T2. Okay, so this information you have to note very well.